Toss of the coin here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The Brisbane Lions have 5 captains, the Sydney Swans have 3, and it's Brett Kirk and Luke Power who have the honour of their respective teams this afternoon. Kirk having to jump out of the way, and Luke Power will kick to the right of screen. As we welcome to the microphone, David Parkin. It is a magnificent day for football, David.
And Dwayne, today we'll learn a little more about Brisbane's development. Sydney will test them here. Perfect day, great game to look forward to.
We're in the shade here, but the man who'll be out in the sun all afternoon down on the boundary line, Liam Pickering.
Hot, damn hot down here. It's actually going to be plenty of interchanges this afternoon. We know the Swans love to interchange their players. They'll be doing it this afternoon.
Thanks, Liam. And we'll be updated by Liam Pickering on those interchanges right throughout the afternoon, because as he said, it's a very warm day. We're expecting about 26, 27 degrees as a minimum. So all is in readiness for the opening bounce here as the AFL's rivalry round continues. It's been a good rivalry round so far, and these two teams have gone head to head in recent times with some close matches. Jason Ball a miss virtually on the siren, and Barry Hall a goal at the Gabba to win the game a couple of years ago for Sydney. And both these teams are in good form. The Brisbane Lions undefeated, and the Sydney Swans 1-1 coming off that grand final loss, narrow grand final loss to the West Coast Eagles last year. Kirk and Simon Black, shake of the hands.
There's plenty happening off the ball. Wade Mills and Adam Goods. Wasn't exactly a shake of the hands, but they're into it.
The ball up to start the game. Wood versus Everett, the two relatively new ruckmen. And the ball knocked down towards Notting. Kirk. And he's trapped under it. Peter Everett, 255 games of experience. Out, of course, at his new club this year, the Sydney Swans, wearing Paul Williams' old number 10. And against Wood, who's had a great start to this year, winning the NAB Rising Star nomination last week. Copeland kicks to half forward, and Ty Kennelly takes it across the boundary line.
An interesting match-up. Leo Barry, who normally goes to Jonathan Brown, has swapped for Craig Bolton, will take on Brownie at the full forward position.
Everett, front spot. He has got the experience, but Wood now has the possession. To Notting. There's a long launch of the ball, sends it to the goal square. Jonathan Brown's down there. Goods gets back and takes the mark.
And I think that'll be the key. Craig Bolton's probably giving away 10 kilograms to Jonathan Brown, who's very dangerous in the contested ball possession. And I think he'll need plenty of help.
O'Keefe got it from Malcheski, gives it long to Barry Hall. And there's a good sign. The knee's okay, the ankle's okay, and the hand's very good.
Gee, it was a good tester, wasn't it? Because he landed on his heels from a long way up, and knee stood up well.
And the kick wasn't so good, although Ablett made it look okay. Inboard, Fosdyke. Too far out for him to score. Leeds come to the pocket. Too wide for O'Keefe. Copeland, he keeps it alive, although a good bounce sees it out of play, and that's a good option for him. No, deliberate. The umpires paid that deliberate. Free kick to Fosdyke, who didn't even ask for it because it was such a ridiculous thing to ask for.
That is a very tough ruling, I would have thought, David.
When no player on either side reacted, that's ridiculous.
Well, he couldn't control the bounce, so the bounce of the ball was almost at right angles.
And he was being slung to the ground in the tackle. Very tough.
Good time to welcome our umpires, Allen, Camelons and Meredith, this afternoon.
Big numbers back to Brisbane Lions. They don't have spectators in the forward line. They push big numbers back to clog up the defensive area.
Massive pack flies. Mills tackled, ridden a little. No free kick. That was Ben Fixter that was doing the riding. Number 4 for Brisbane, of course, the former Sydney Swan. 27 games in 5 years with Sydney. And ball up. Still no one going anywhere.
Riscatelli's got Fosdyke. I think it's an interesting matchup. I thought he might have gone for one of the bigger names.
Everett maps it down. Vay tackled by Hadley, and good to see Richard Hadley back, the number 14 for Brisbane, playing his first game since the grand final loss to Port Adelaide in 2004. So a couple of years out with 2 knee reconstructions. Wood knocks it down to Goods. Little backhand to Black though. Might rush it behind here. Had no other option.
Probably a smart decision with the crowd that was in that defensive 50. And this is often an attacking move, the kick-outs these days.
Mills takes them on. Everett and Wood. Good one-on-one battle. Everett hands to it. Wood keeps his feet. Gets the possession to half forward. Jonathan Brown got a jump at it but was late. Knocked Patfield over and get a ball in.
That wasn't a great sign. Though Patfield came across Brown, didn't they? Both actually collided very heavily. It should have been one man.
Yeah, it's not only Patfield getting knocked over, brought his man into the contest. Kirk, quick kick away. Stolen by Black. Left foot kick, a wobbler. Craig Bolton got back. Didn't collect the mark, but got the crumb. Rolling ball though, straight to Notting. 70 from goal. Not a lot to go to. They've clogged it up, Sydney. Power. And now Riscatelli, who we spoke about in the intro, having a good season.
And that was good work. He worked off the ball, found plenty of space, and it was good vision from Luke Power to find him.
He must have great stamina. I didn't know that about him. He's quick. He's got the advantage of the speed bit, but he certainly has worked hard in each of the 3 games I've seen Brisbane.
He was picked 61 back in the 2003 draft, the 12th last player drafted. And he misses this one across the face, only a behind. So he was a bargain pick, Michael Riscatelli. Ty Kennelly. Dempster.
And that's good work for the Brisbane Lions. They've been able to run free, but today they'll certainly have one-on-one contests across the ground. But then to block up the Sydney Swans, who are often so good of clearing their defensive 50, that is good work and a good sign that they're switched on to start with.
Ben Matthews in front of the construction zone. You can see there in the background, remodelling the old hill.
They're away now.
So Kennelly to Barry. Not a lot for him to go to wide. Has to go back into the corridor. Pokes it in there. It's got the numbers. Jude Bolton, Craig Bolton. Handball smothered Kirk. Fosdyke. Wide ball, Everett. And the crowd love him already. It's only 3 games in. O'Keefe chopped off Hall. Game number 250 for Michael O'Loughlin. Happy 250th Mickey O.
And that's just a typical sign of the class of this man. Been in the competition for 13 years, and even on his quietest days, he has the unique ability to make a goal out of little. And this one, beautiful snap. And we'll see plenty of that today if he's not closely checked.
Well, he just fell off the back, actually. Everybody, including his opponent, got committed to the contest, but not him. Just fell out the back for him perfectly.
So the first goal of the afternoon to the man celebrating the milestone. He would have been an Adelaide Crow player, Michael O'Loughlin, but Adelaide messed up the paperwork and they ended up getting drafted by the Sydney Swans, the former Adelaide boy from Central Districts. And he will, on current form, become the greatest AFL VFL game player for the Sydney Swans. He's now 3rd on that list.
Interesting to see how Brennan responds to that, because he got absolutely committed as you want him to.
Yep.
So you hope he doesn't get burnt.
Kirk got the kick away just in time. Could have been a high one. Still, he's ducked into it though, and the umpire knew it. Notting to Black. Jonathan Brown's on the move. Good punch away. Strong score by Craig Bolton. Knocked it down. Handball not so good. Jude Bolton. After O'Keefe tried to give it to him, gives it to Malcheski. Kirk. Malcheski through traffic but lost it. Black and Everett. And we'll get a ball up, you would think, at the point of the square.
And just that pass going into Jonathan Brown. We know Craig Bolton's closing speed is enormous, and Jonathan Brown just had to sit under it for a second or two, and Bolts was quick enough to get a fist in.
Yes, they know each other well. Craig Bolton, the former Brisbane player. McVeigh. Just a half forward. Barry Hall, the boundary line okay for him.
Terrific closing speed, as you said, by merit then. You nominate him before the game as a far better athlete than some of us realise. His closing down then of Hall was terrific.
The quickest over 20 metres at the Brisbane Lions.
Oh.
Jolly and Wood went at it. Copeland ducked into that, so didn't get the free. McVeigh, pocket. Richards. Schneider tried to tap it onto advantage. Tapped it through for a behind. Liam Pickering on the boundary line.
Yeah, just an interesting matchup, boys. Very dangerous Michael Riscatelli. He's been in great form over the last couple of weeks. Jared McVeigh's his partner in crime this afternoon. So, as you know, Jared McVeigh's very hard to get a kick on. So that'll be a big matchup for the Swans.
Adcock, the designated kicker. Now Merritt. Colm Begley. Two Irishmen playing in this game this afternoon. Colm Begley from County Laois playing game number 5, and of course Ty Kennelly, the superstar from Ireland, he's been. Towards the wing. Power. Knocked away by Matthews, but got it back. Runs the boundary and kicks out of bounds on the full. Good pressure.
Good pressure, and when you come to Sydney to take on the Swans, you know you're going to get the pressure all the time. No easy kicks, as there's a free kick. I think it was pushing it back to Power.
Should have been too. Well called.
So he got pushed just as he kicked it, so it comes back to him. Brisbane Lions yet to get a goal. He's played about 9 minutes now into this opening term in bright sunshine and almost a full house here at the SCG. Nodding towards Patfull. Missed him. Schneider. Jolly. Fixter ran at him. Patfull tries to keep it alive. Tucked into the boundary line. Kirk just distracts it but couldn't get the kick away. Riscatelli does. Centering ball. Craig Bolton getting back. Takes the mark.
As Jonathan Brown was just drawn up into the contest, and Craig Bolton just dropped back in front of Ty Kennelly into space.
Kennelly and Craig Bolton combined to get it to the wing. Adcock was waiting for it. It wasn't a good kick. Handball's inboard. Put Stiller under immense pressure. McVeigh dumped. Good tackle by Hadley, and good to see Richard Hadley's knee looks okay.
It's an extraordinary story. Yes, the 2 knee reconstructions, and they weren't players or opposition players falling across his body. They were just purely running, turning, and both collapsed. So it's amazing that he's come back and has been very good in the week and a half he's had in the local competition.
And no strapping on the knee as well, which gives you the indication that he's very confident with it.
He had a week in the US with a specialist and had 8 hours a day.
That's commitment for you. Good commitment to that lead. Jonathan Brown takes the mark.
That was a very good lead and mark. It was wide, and you try not to lead wide, but the SCG is one of those grounds you still can have a shot and convert from this sort of angle. Very penetrating kick too, and he can cut the ball left to right, so this would be suiting his natural kick.
Yeah, well within his repertoire, Jonathan Brown. In from the pocket. That's what he has in front of him. That is a magnificent kick to open his tally.
Well, that was a fantastic start for Jonathan Brown.
You called it.
He is just such a powerful kick of the ball, and he can maneuver the ball basically where he wants. His natural kick is a left to right fade basically, so it really suited that shot. And Jonathan Brown kicked 5 goals last week. Probably didn't dominate the game as we know, but he's one of the most big powerful forwards, most influential players in the competition.
First goal of the afternoon for Jonathan Brown. It's a 1-point ball game. Sydney 8, Brisbane 7. And we've played 12 minutes opening term. Barely a spare seat in the house. The undefeated Brisbane Lions have started well. Goods. Kirk. Just a bounce pass. Don't see that very often. Dempster. Clever handball though it was. Dempster inside 50. Barry Hall.
And Simon Black's down in back play. Just copped a bit of a whack. And so he's got to his feet now, but Barry Hall, fantastic use of the body, and this man is very strong on the lead, but his use of the body under the high ball is something that will trouble Daniel Merritt with just a lack of experience. Just was nudged under the ball, and there's a rule or an interpretation they discussed over the summer that might have come into play there.
We've seen it ignored a couple of times this weekend when good marks are taken. Barry Hall splits the medal for his first.
Almost the identical, if you reverse the order, from Brownie's kick This was exactly diagonally opposite in the other ball, and he did exactly the same thing with the ball. It's a brilliant call, that fade. Worked for both of them.
The absolute elite in the competition. I think are rated by most in the top handful of players in the competition, and be a very intriguing contest.
We've got some fantastic contests. We've got Kirk on Black, which is becoming one of the critical contests. Black's been pretty good, but under pressure all the time.
So the two replacement ruckmen, Jolly and McDonald, go at it in the middle after Wood and Everett started in the ruck. And as we've mentioned, we'll see plenty of interchange because it is a hot afternoon.
They're two not bad backup ruckmen, if you like. Bo McDonald's got over his own knee reconstruction when the posterior cruciate ligament was ruptured. And Darren Jolly.
From the ball up. Black. Fire handball out to Moody. Dump. Good tackle. Still in the middle of it all, and Moody still got it. It was knocked back to him, and we'll get a ball up. Liam Pickering.
It's an interesting matchup with Adam Goods and Mills. Goods is happy to stay behind the ball at the centre bounces at the starting bouncing point, but then Mills tries to take him a bit deeper, but Adam Goods will have none of that.
McVeigh shoots the handball out. Buchanan. Hadley jumped on. Tried to shuffle it out. Harding, late replacement for Lappin. Colm Begley. Caught. Kirk. Matthews. Schneider. Barry Hall's on the move. It's in front of him. He's got it. He has got it.
Bit of a handful so far for Daniel Merritt. The problem there again for him is body contact. He doesn't want to get into a wrestle at all with big bad Barry Hall because he's just too experienced, pushes off well, and once you lose contact on it with a kick like that, it's very hard to stop.
To make it two within a couple of minutes, and has it got the carry? McDonald tries to touch it. Missed it. Hall's got two.
As we touched on there, because Daniel Merritt's been very effective as a fullback through raw athleticism, but Barry Hall, obviously a very smart player, just pushed off. Once you're on the back foot over 20 metres, you're going to struggle to close that extra metre or two. And we see Bo McDonald just probably had to jump around Michael O'Loughlin and couldn't get a hand on the ball.
Two goals now for Barry Hall, and Daniel Merritt and Barry Hall just arguing the toss about who's got front spot. Barry Hall just shielding Daniel Merritt's eyes there, which is an interesting little ploy. That'll annoy him. Quick kick out of the middle towards full forward. Down there was Mills. Jonathan Brown, he keeps it alive. Well played. Snaps it from the pocket. It's a high ball.
That's close.
That is close. Oh. He likes it. It's a miracle goal. Instant reply.
Great answer for the Brisbane Lions, and certainly Jonathan Brown with this bit of a duel between Jonathan Brown and Barry Hall, the two big guns of the competition. But what a fantastic snap. There wasn't much response from the crowd behind, but quite rightly, because that was straight through the middle. Just see his body strength able to shake off Craig Bolton, and that is a very smart snap-on goal.
This is going to be a contest within the contest. And I think midfield looks pretty even.
We might be in for a shootout. The two superstars of the competition, Jonathan Brown and Barry Hall, have 2 goals each already from the ball up. Jolly with the palm, free kick found. And it's to Simon Black. 13 plays 20. Heads wide to Johnson.
Kennelly, Leo Barry, Adam Goods trying to get back in front of Jonathan Brown.
He's up there, Jonathan Brown. Can't get a fly at it. Craig Bolton's fist wins out. Kennelly to Goods. Tries to thread his way through traffic. Got caught. Handball away to Leo Barry. Little fumble. Stolen by Harding. Gets a toe poke. Moody tried to get another. It's a behind.
I think Goods owes his teammates an apology there. I mean, we need to dish the first one out. Thought he'd take them on with a blind turn and did a lousy, lazy hand pass to put his mate under terrible pressure.
Kennelly wide to Dempster. From defensive 50. Chris Johnson makes it pretty hard. In fact, does it illegally against Ablett. Takes the free on the wing. Barry Hall playing up on the 50 at the moment. It's almost leading to take his man and another man out of the contest, really, to create space for someone else as Matthews takes the mark.
And that's exactly what the very disciplined forwards will do. Run out of space to open up for someone else.
Adcock, Grundy. Adcock wins out. Caught though. Handball out to Luke Power. Chip kick to Patfull. He gets there. 14 plays 20. Open forward line at the moment for the Lions. Jonathan Brown's on the lead. Can't get there to attempt a mark and can't gather the crumb. It's out of play. Liam Pickering.
Down here, it's like Burke Street, boys. We mentioned the heat before the game, and it's very warm down here on ground level. Plenty of interchanges, especially the Swans. More than happy to use their bench to keep their players fresh.
Back into play. Everett in front of Beau McDonald. Down to Power. Copeland. Mills. Caught by Goods and put into the turf. Buchanan. Ablett. He's caught and dumped. Johnson stole it from him. Goods has got him. Mills again. Stiller. Tries to get away from Buchanan, which is tough to do. Notting. Riscatelli comes and marks on the 50.
It was a good, brave mark, Dwayne, wasn't it? He had to go back the wrong way, reaching for the ball with 3, 1 of his own and 2 of the opposition coming straight at him.
He can certainly get the journey. Be very hard to pinpoint a free player in this crowded forward 50, but he's certainly got the leg to get there.
Big kick this from 51. It's drifting a little, but he's missed. Only a behind. So we've ticked into time on opening term.
I think the Brisbane Lions, especially the youngsters, but the match committee was a turnover there.
So McGrath will have a shot.
So I'm going to say they've really weathered a bit of a storm from the Sydney Swans. They're very intense and hard at the ball, and the Brisbane Lions youngsters have responded. And to be thereabouts at quarter time, I think they'd be satisfied.
Oh, very. Bolton doesn't usually kick in. I haven't seen him do that often.
So this kick to give the Brisbane Lions the lead into time on of the opening term. The undefeated Brisbane Lions have had a good start to this year, and McGrath makes no mistake. The Lions are in front.
Another very good bit of play from the Brisbane Lions to convert that opportunity. So we don't often see, as you said, David, Craig Bolton kick out, and it was a short pass, tried to drag it around the corner here, didn't steady, and Ash McGrath with that very good speed was able to take a uncontested mark in the end.
It'll be interesting to see if they persevere with Bolton kicking in. That was a gimme.
That's an important goal for Ash McGrath as well. He's got Leo Barry, so he's got to draw the ball and make Leo Barry accountable, so he just can't go third up with Bolton and Brown.
Bounce to restart it. Everett and McDonald knocked down to Buchanan. Couldn't get a kick away, and umpires found something. Jude Bolton to get the free. He was down where he normally is, bottom of the pack. Barry Hall leads. A little too short for him. Fosdyke the dive. Stiller. Riscatelli bounces away with a bit of arrogance and some confidence to Fixter. Long kick. Jonathan Brown, 101, and he's got it.
Good mark, but that is the problem with Craig Bolton. We saw last week he played very well on Matthew Richardson on the lead, but once you get under the ball and you're giving away a big amount of weight and height, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. So that is where he does need the help from Goods and Leo Barry, who are close by.
And they've got it in reasonably quickly to stop that, Alistair.
For goal number 3 for Jonathan Brown, and the biggest lead of the game for the Lions, 7 points, and it was never in doubt. Lions by 7.
Two quick goals for the Brisbane Lions late in the first quarter. I think they'll be very happy with that. Riscatelli's had a part in a fair bit of the play this quarter, so his confidence is still up. But Jonathan Brown hasn't played many games over the last 9 months, but if he's close to goal and taking marks like that, he's going to kick a big bag. So Craig Bolton and the defence of the Sydney Swans will have to be very much on their guard.
So 3 goals now for Jonathan Brown. That's his 200th goal in AFL football. He's out after you, Alistair.
He'll catch me.
From the
very
ball
easily.
half. Goods tried to hack it out of the middle. Harding. Copeland. Fixter. Spears it towards Jonathan Brown, the man of the moment. 3 goals in the opening term. Caught. Schmidt. Now O'Keefe. Swans with run on the rebound. O'Loughlin got it. Had to play for a 50, didn't get it. Fosdyke. Long. Barry Hall and a one-on-one. Shrugs Merritt, takes the mark, and Barry Hall will line up for goal number 500 for his career. He's already got 2 this afternoon, and a big milestone coming up for the Sydney Swan, former Saints superstar. Only 41 AFL, VFL footballers have kicked 500 plus. And he lines up from 45 and threads it. Goal number 500 for Barry Hall.
Well, you're right about the body contact and the athleticism, but if that ball was within 5 metres, I'm a Dutchman's uncle.
Exactly, but one end, you're Jonathan Brown, and once again, a reply from Barry Hall. This is a bit of a shootout from the 2 big guns, but yeah, Daniel Merritt a bit disappointed with that one.
You've got to allow the bloke to contest the mark. He's been taken out before the tram bell ring.
Daniel Merritt, a little bit stiff there, but a very good answer. I mean, Jonathan Brown putting on a clinic up one end. Barry Hall replies at the other.
On the ball up, Jude Bolton. Loops the handball to Dempster. Kick away just in time. Here comes Barry Hall. The crowd gave him a magnificent ovation with that 500th goal, and he shrugs another tackle to Buchanan. He might get it back again here. He does. In traffic again. Shrugs Riscatelli this time. Misses Dempster with the handball. Turned over. Sherman. He rode a hard bump. Fixter. It's hot in the kitchen at the moment. O'Keefe. Buchanan. Copeland wraps him up. See, that's almost holding the ball as well. He gave him the don't argue, tried to push him away, and it's a ball up. Liam Pickering.
Ty Kennelly's taken himself off the ground. He's got a bit of a tight back. He's been getting plenty of work by the physio and doctor over there. He doesn't look too good at the moment, and they'll certainly need his run-off half-back as this game progresses.
McDonald knocked it down, but to Adam Goods, who got 3 Brownlow votes in both games last year. Best on ground the 2 times these 2 teams met, and obviously helped him win his 2nd Brownlow medal. Lachlan runs down Begley, out of play, will get a ball in. The crowd have come to life.
We've got it, so they ordered, Dwayne. We've got a terrific contest in every sense of the word. This is great footy to watch.
McDonald and Everett. Riscatelli just ties it up. O'Keefe in there as well. We'll get another ball up.
Yeah, often Sydney can be ugly to watch and a little more difficult to enjoy, but this is good footy. High scoring but intense contest.
Everett. McDonald wins, but straight down to McVeigh. To Jude Bolton. Hacks it inside 50. Quick-fire handball is good. Running in, Schneider never misses from there. And the Swans are back in front.
Good work in close quarters there. And there's no better team in the competition than the Sydney Swans.
Adam Schneider, who started on the bench, gets a rest for his good work. 30 goals in his debut season back in 2003. Adam Schneider. A lean couple of years goal-wise in between, but he's back in form. Jude Bolton, stolen by O'Keefe, rolls a handball out. It's been a magnificent contest to watch. And Sherman spins out of trouble with some class to Moody. Back again to Hadley. And now Mills. He took on Goods. That's braveness. Kicks it inside 50. Brown's lurking in the pocket. Tries to shoot the handball back to Mills. Does well. Good contest. Leo Barry, as he likes to do, has a run to Fosdyke. Grundy. Good punch by Adcock. Grundy's got it back again. Adcock got one to the chops. Schmidt. McVeigh.
Right.
Fosdyke. O'Keefe. Now Everett if it bounces. Back to O'Keefe. He's dumped. Up against the boundary line. We'll get a ball in.
Well, that last 15 seconds typified how this game's going. A very passionate attack on the ball for both teams. There is no one better at the close quarters football than the Sydney Swans over recent times. The Brisbane Lions have set themselves to do exactly the same thing, and I certainly think they're in the game, but what great hands from the Swans there.
Free kick was paid to O'Keefe to half forward. Nice mark taken by Grundy. Now Barry Hall's got a 1-on-2 in the goal square. It's not in his direction though. It's a centering ball to Jolly. And Jolly will line up for goal number 6 for the quarter for Sydney.
That was good vision for the ball carrier. Saw Barry Hall. It was 2-on-1 deep and saw Jolly in a great position. He was behind, but you don't mind being behind when you're that size and got a run on a smaller player in Moody.
Game number 100 for Darren Jolly this afternoon. He admitted that the birth of his child the day before last year's grand final did disrupt his preparation. And that's a miss to the left.
It's not the ideal preparation, is it?
Well, he kept it quiet that it disrupted it until about a week ago. He actually admitted a week ago, yep, we had things around the other way, it might have been better. And of course, when you lose by such a narrow margin, every little thing counts. Merritt. 1 minute to quarter time and everybody needs a breather. This has been a magnificent first term to watch. Adcock. To goal the difference. Adcock to Brennan, who hasn't seen a lot of it. Slides in and marks in front of Schmidt.
Swan supporters thought that might have been a little short of the mark, but he's been very good, Jared Brennan, doing a real sweeping role across centre half back in the last 2 weeks.
It's the call to play on. Little poke. Black. Buchanan was with him. Ablett tries to shoot it back to Buchanan. Black rides him a bit. Umpire let it go. And with 18 seconds left on the clock, we'll get a ball up with maybe time enough for a Swans clearance and shot, but not for Brisbane. Everett. Palm down. Black. Just doesn't need to turn this one over. Notting. Can send it out of the area, and it's out of bounds on the full. So the clock will stop here. A chance for one kick towards attacking 50 and maybe a mark. Adam Goods. One last roll of the dice till quarter time. They need a mark from this kick. Grundy's the target. Can't take it. Close to the boundary line. Colm Begley. And it's been a sensational first turn to watch. Paul Roos will be reasonably happy. His big gun Barry Hall, who there was a doubt over this week whether he'd take his place. He has fired up. He's got 3 goals to quarter time, Barry Hall, and he has got his 500th, so that milestone out of the way. And at the other end, Jonathan Brown. 3 goals for Jonathan Brown as well. So the two superstars of the competition on a fine afternoon here at the SCG are giving the crowd something to think about. Sydney 5-3-33, Brisbane 4-3-27. Watching this game with glee in the box. You'd like to be a forward playing these conditions, although you did play a full-back for a while, Alistair. You don't like conditions like these.
No, you used to wake up those mornings and hope it was raining.
Jolly gets the quick kick out of the middle. Start this second term. The intensity in the opening term was magnificent. Adcock tries to ride the tackle from Ablett. He was crunched. Ablett, another bounce pass to Schneider. Ducks the head, so doesn't get the free. Ablett. McVeigh. Jude Bolton. Schneider tucked into the pocket. Wants to centre it. Michael O'Loughlin, goal square, overran it. Fosdyke tried to tow it. Stolen by Brennan to Notting.
Nice pass. Jared Brennan, he uses the ball well, mostly short, but in the last few weeks, just across half-back, managed to hits his target almost all the time.
Tim Notting, two-time premiership player, from the back pocket. Now Chesky doesn't normally rise above packs to take overhead marks like that, but that was a good one. Kick not so good. Jolly forced to work all the way back to the defensive half. Leo Barry back to Jolly. So every Brisbane Lion player in front of Darren Jolly as he kicks long to Barry Hall. Merritt's with him. Hall was feeling for Merritt, and Merritt gave him nobody to feel, and it was a good ploy out of play.
And that is the thing, spot on. He just can't get in a wrestle with him. If he gets Barry Hall trying to feel for him, that's a victory for Daniel straight away.
He's pulled off a little bit, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Could he actually get outrun him, get in their level, but he's just pulled him behind him.
Beautiful palm down to McVeigh by Jolly. Kick around the body, misses from Jared McVeigh.
And both the Sydney Swans ruckmen are very good at that. They can just drop the ball onto the Crummer's hands and set up shots on goal, as in that instance. There's Ty Kennelly. Obviously some concerns, as Liam described, with his back. And seems to be running a bit freer there.
Liam, is he preparing to come back on?
Well, he's doing some work here on the boundary line. He's certainly been in the rooms for about 20 minutes. Left late in that first quarter, getting a bit of work. So he's still moving a bit, Ginger, but he's going okay.
Fixter got it from Riscatelli, gave it back. Riscatelli, they just don't want to turn the ball over. Keep control of it. Don't give it away if you don't have to. And Stiller takes the mark on the wing.
And he will be an important one. Kennelly, 26 touches last week against Richmond, and the ability to run and chase and carry the ball is the big key to him.
Nice hands from Jolly. He was arguably best on ground last week, Ty Kennelly, especially when Richmond hit the front last week and they looked in trouble, Sydney. He helped them get the win. Now Chesky to Jude Bolt. Kicks a long ball. Barry Hall's on the move. Can't get there. Mark's taken by O'Keefe.
Quality mark. Coming back into a dangerous position. Barry Hall on the charge with his opponent right on his shoulder. But in congestion, to take a contested mark there is something you'd be very happy to see for a small forward.
His work rate, though, he's already been up the ground into the centre circle and back again twice before he eventually got it going backwards into 50. He's an amazing athlete.
Underrated as well. Equal best and fairest last year behind the Brownlow medal winner Adam Good. So it's a fair season. Left foot kick towards goal is drifting offline. Big rap, poor kick.
Hasn't been their strong point in the first 3 games, the Sydney Swans. Their conversion inside 50 hasn't been as great. Where I remember 3 or 4 years ago, they just couldn't miss at all. Every opportunity they converted. Just something I'm sure they're doing plenty of work on.
Jed Adcock. Just the 8 games last year, Jed Adcock, but good to see him back and firing. Every game the year before, back in 2005 when he was 3rd in that best and fairest.
One of the real leaders of the young brigade, Jed Adcock, had a lot of problems with a quad strain last year, but important inclusion this season.
This is Mills. Bouncing away from defence. He's got Jonathan Brown relatively short. It goes to him. Strong enough hands to be paid the mark. In fact, he got his arm chopped. That's why he dropped the ball in the end. So free regardless. Heads toward Patfull. Dives. Marks. Maybe just beyond his range. Joel Patfull.
Just outnumbered deep. Jolly and Goods with Cameron Wood. So can't go long as yet. Just waiting for Jonathan Brown to get back into the goal square.
Ty Kennelly comes back on. High kick. Wood flies. Got hands to it. Couldn't mark it. Quick snap around the body is wide. And we'll get a ball in from the pocket. Chris Johnson, one of the co-captains, started on the bench this afternoon.
He's got himself very fit this year, Chrissy Johnson. They reckon, the rumour is he's got a washy. There's a 6-pack under that jumper.
Really?
First time since he was 4 years old.
Do a Nicky Winmar and give us a look at it. From the ball in, Dempster. Black, boundary line.
On Chris Johnson, David, you've seen some great back pockets over the years, but certainly he's the best I've played with. His ability to set up and attack from deep in the defensive half is his great ability.
Maybe he didn't get the kudos he should have over those years where he dominated and set up for Brisbane.
Gee, you former Fitzroy people stick together.
We do.
Alistair Lynch, Chris Johnson and David Park and all former Fitzroy greats. Kennelly. Chip kick. Fosdyke. Chip kick is good, and Ablett takes the mark.
See, that was a smart kick. He was looking to go to Barry Hall, but then pull the kick as Hall was covered, and just an awareness of the space around him.
You're surprised how many Fitzroy players you coach have turned out to be very, very good players, David? I mean, and coaches now in their own right.
Well, Johnny Barker now, he's taken up reins down at St Kilda.
Yeah.
It's terrific to see that.
You would have had a few senior coaches on your books, though, with Ruse, Ross Lyon, and your Hawthorn days as well.
Yeah, despite me, as they said.
No, chips off the old block. Rolling ball towards the boundary. We'll get another ball in. 35 plays 27. And yet another move on the bench. Schmidt and Kirk changing. Liam Pickering, they're rotating a lot.
Oh, they certainly are, and it's probably a good move. It is very hot down here, and I'll tell you what, people that say that the interchanges should be restricted, you should see the players when they come off. They are all really blowing.
No one can get the ball out of this pack, and we'll get another ball up. There is Schmidt, number 36 for the Swans on screen, who's just come on. So fresh off the bench, straight into the action.
And David, you said O'Keefe's work rate's been very high. He's had 10 disposals to this stage of the game.
Goods. Got it to Kirk. Ablett. A little battle that with Notting. And the ball out of play.
It's going to be difficult. I think there's already, and that might be a silly thing to say, there's already been a little drop in intensity now, a little bit more counter-punching than there was early, people trying to break it.
Well, both teams want numbers around the contest, so the ability to cover all that ground to get to each contest is certainly limited as the game goes on.
Saw Jude Bolton on the bench there for the Sydney Swans. His turn to have a rest in the rotations, and
well, that's come out of the round one, I think, that decision. It's something that's been eased, the holding the ball decision in recent weeks, but that turned the clock back a few.
Well, after 3 scrimmages in a row, they changed the rules slightly to make it easier to get a free kick to clear
break it up.
Yeah, which is wrong, but it happens. Shaney Stiller, back pocket.
And I think that's the frustrating thing from a player's point of view, just the consistency from one week to the other, and certainly from one quarter to the other.
Jonathan Brown takes it out, and we'll get another ball in. Jonathan Brown, he was 10th in the Brownlow last year despite having that horrendous injury that ended his season halfway through. Kicked 8 against Hawthorn, 7 goals against Port Adelaide, 7 against Fremantle, and then after a 4-goal effort the week after, it was season over. Good to see him back. He's got 3. And at the other end, Barry Hall's got 3 if you've just joined us, and we'll get another ball up on the wing.
The number of that are going off, direct opponents going off the ground at the same time, you know, with Kirk and Black and people like that. I think it's fantastic.
Wood from the ball up, as we said, the NAB Rising Star winner from last week to Richard Hadley.
As I touched on in the first quarter, Richard Hadley went to the US to see a knee specialist and worked with him 8 hours a day and just totally worked on different exercises, part of his recovery to get back to this stage. So it's a great effort from Richard.
Certainly is, and here he is, the man on cue, Richard Hadley, coming back from those 2 knee reconstructions. Well, his commitment was never in doubt. He actually drove from Brisbane to Melbourne to see the Brisbane Lions' first grand final win. He was on the list, but the Lions couldn't fly him down because flights count under the salary cap, and that would have taken them over. So he had to drive down to see the grand final, and he drove back straight after the game and got back in time for Mad Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning. Big fly by Craig Bolton over the top of Jonathan Brown. And a free's been paid, and he chips it inside 50. And the mark's been taken by McGrath. So Ashley McGrath to line up to get one back for the Lions. How did you see that free?
I think there was a lot in it.
Oh, he gave him one to the ear on the way down, maybe.
Oh, yeah, not a lot in it.
Alistair, just a call you made because McGrath has got away, I think, a couple of times. It is Barry, his opponent, is it not?
Well, it certainly was in the first quarter.
Well, I think the same thing happened again there.
Yeah, and that is important. I mean, it's very easy if you're predictable going to the one spot, and certainly the Brisbane Lions will be trying to get to Jonathan Brown, but to stop the Leo Barry, Adam Goods and those sort of players just dropping off straight to Jonathan Brown, you must use the spare player, and Ash McGrath is a dangerous one because he certainly can get his hand on the ball and convert.
Fixed her off because of the blood rule. Ash McGrath, one of the 3 brothers to have been on AFL lists, of course, Corey and Toby. And he lines up from 40 and straight through the middle. It's taken a while, but it's there.
as we look at this marking contest. Probably a little bit it was a whack across the chops, but often you see those in packs go unchecked. But Jonathan Brown, his awareness to get back, quick on his mark and look ahead, and certainly Ash McGrath would run ahead into space. Just a bit of a lapse of concentration from the Swans defence on that instance.
Well, it's back to a 2-point ball game. Liam Pickering on the boundary.
Just a couple of players in the midfield. We talk about rotations, but Simon Black and Brett Kirk, both those players just going head to head, I should say. They're those sort of players that really like the grunt and they like the hard work, so no rotations for those boys as yet.
Everett back in the ruck. A decisive palm down, but not to a teammate. Bolton got it after Buchanan lost it. Jude kicks inside 50 and getting back Robert Copeland. He knew he might get crunched. And Barry Hall's coming out from full forward. You know that it could happen, but he's still got to make the commitment. He did. Johnson to Moody. Matthew Moody held up. 4th season on the list for him after back in 2003. Player they essentially got for Jason Graham when they traded him for the Saints with that pick 23. And there's a lot of young players just starting to blossom in this lineup. Hadley again. And Hadley kicks long. Bolton flies into Jonathan Brown's back and he gives the free away again.
Mightn't argue about that one. Just got up a little bit early and straight in the back of Jonathan Brown.
There's no one in the goal square. Jonathan Brown goes long to it. Patfull flies. That is a great grab.
That is a very good grab, and Joel Patfull's been able to do this a couple of times over the first 3 weeks of the season, and just another handy option. With Daniel Bradshaw not being around for the season, he's going to get plenty of opportunities, and this is a good jump. There's a fair bit of body around him, and under pressure took a very good mark.
We don't want to de-down poor Leo Barry, but it was in fact Patfull was his man, not McGrath. McGrath's got Melkeski.
To give the Brisbane Lions back the lead. He's got his first.
And that certainly is a good sign to have players other than Jonathan Brown put in a big influence on the game, and that certainly does make the Swans take notice of this young man. Very strong jump at the ball, and his kicking's not probably his strong point, but to be able to convert is very important.
First goal for Joel Patfull, former Port Adelaide rookie list player, and they decided not to put him on their senior list, and that allowed Brisbane to pick him up 56 back in 2005, and he's blossoming this season like a number of Lions are. Black sends it inboard to Brown. One way, Craig Bolton chasing. Left foot kick.
Right,
pretty good to the goal square. Mark's been taken right on the line. Has it been paid?
Begley.
Yeah, it has. So Colin Begley, the Irishman, will line up and have a go at his first goal in AFL footy.
And the Brisbane Lions staff cannot speak highly enough of this young man. The way he's just worked hard to develop his game. He's only 12 months into his AFL season. 12 months ago he picked up a ball for the first time.
Game number 5, goal number 1 for his career to the Irishman from County Laois.
There's been some huge raps. The obvious comparisons with Ty Kennelly and Jim Steins, 2 of the absolute great Irishmen that have come over and been very successful at AFL football. I just think his kicking has certainly gone in advance of those guys at an early stage.
Colin Begley, his first goal in AFL footy. And Jonathan Brown, they're starring up forward for the Brisbane Lions, and they've stretched this lead to 10 points.
Well, Jonathan Brown's moving very well. His ability to turn is a very good thing, especially for someone who's had a lot of the osteitis problems around the hips. So his ability to turn on a very solid surface is great.
They're on the ropes at the moment, Sydney. Harding a free. They'll get an inside 50 again, Brisbane. Mills will send them in there. It's a long kick. Jonathan Brown flies, can't get there. It was from 4 deep, couldn't bring it down. Matthews, Dempster, Kirk, Malcheski, Goods, Krantz, good tackle. Umpire won't let them just stop and plead for a ball up and let it go for a little while, and now he's got no choice, umpire Camelons. Liam Pickering.
I spoke to Jonathan Brown before the game, and he said that after a really interrupted pre-season, he's actually really starting to feel great again. He said it's probably the best he's felt all year. This was prior to the game. He's moving beautifully.
Moody tried to kick it from mid-air. Brown crunched. Everett kept his feet. Black caught to the pocket, and Adam Goods sees it out. And he hasn't had a major influence, Adam Goods, which is a win, as we said. He got the Brownlow votes in both games. Best on ground in both games they played last year. Sydney winning both of those by 57 and 32 points. Craig Bolton thumps it down. Schmidt, Kirk. Matthews to the wing. O'Loughlin, little push. So the umpire will play those on the wing, but not a full forward.
And that's very frustrating. Goods only had the 5 touches so far.
So Adam Goods just 5 touches. O'Loughlin to Buchanan. Barry Hall, clean ball by it. Can't shrug the tackle. Ablett stumped by Begley. And we'll get a ball up.
Well, let's give credit where it's due, because young Mills has absolutely beaten him hands down.
He's obviously been given the task to run with Goods. Knows it's going to be a big effort. Wouldn't be set on getting the ball himself, but certainly done the job and shut Goods down.
Well, he's a bit of an ugly-looking kick, Mills, but most of them short and long have been pretty effective.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't be asking him to go short. If you're going to kick it, make sure you give it everything.
Could have played for Sydney, Wade Mills. He's actually from Lennox Heads in New South Wales, but crossed the border every week to play football in Queensland for Southport. So living on the border gave him that advantage. In fact, he put his address down as a caravan park at Mount Gravatt in Queensland, so he could captain Queensland's under-18 team. High tackle by Copeland, so a free kick on the wing, but he's been very, very good, Wade Mills. And Adam Goods' influence will have to change to the Sydney Swans that have come back and win this one. Schmidt.
Brisbane Lions have got 17 players in their defensive half just to try to clog this up.
Moody. Good fist from behind, Jolly. And still going nowhere. Jolly taking him over the boundary line.
The Swans are so good at hitting their short targets. That was not a great kick, and that's a great sign for the Brisbane Lions that they can put enough pressure on to force the turnovers.
Goods, third man up to Fosdyke, to O'Loughlin in the pocket.
Well, how good was that, Dwayne? You called that. That was a beautiful.
O'Loughlin centering kick. Barry Hall used his body on Merritt but knocked himself over. Mills knocked it out nicely to Notting. Runs the boundary, gets dumped by Ablett as he kicked it. Kennelly beats Patfull. O'Keefe runs into the runner. Kick around the body, finds power. Sydney Swans runner, so it's his own man he can argue with. Moody to Begley.
Gone.
Schneider got him. Just too late though. Hadley to Moody to Brown. Good fist. Craig Bolton wins out. The crowd really enjoying this contest. Schmidt brought down. McGrath, the tackler, no prior opportunity, will get a ball up.
And that's the one Craig Bolton's comfortable on. If there's a pass over 40 metres, it's going to be elevated enough to actually give Bolton a chance to get a fist on.
He's telling his own runner to get out of the way. Fosdyke wants to get a handball out. Unsuccessful. And we'll get another ball up as we're ticking the time on of this second term. Grundy having a rest at the moment. Goods again doing some ruck work just to get his hand on the leather. Matthews caught. Another ball up. And the ball up. Schmidt somehow to Matthews. Buchanan kicked it off the deck but to Power. Now to Mills, who we've talked a lot about, doing a good job on Adam Goods still. Adcock. Mills up behind play. Barry Hall goes in hard with a knee.
It's hurt Merritt.
He is hurt. O'Loughlin, he can line up. Chips the kick to Matthews. Doesn't kick a lot of goals. Gets down there and has a chance. And Merritt's still down.
It was a bit stiff, Dwayne, because Hawley, in fact, tried to jump over him, but they have to jump up and get over him. He'd probably need him pretty hard just below the ribs, I would suggest.
Legitimate.
Yeah, well, he wasn't jumping into him or down onto him.
It's actually a dangerous one where sometimes you can hurt your knee in that sort of instance, and Barry Hall, with the doubt over his knee this week, was a bit fortunate there. Ben Matthews only kicked the 36 goals in his 175 matches.
Hasn't kicked one this year yet either, and he made the goal umpire work, but he's cut the margin back to 4 points.
Good answer for the Sydney Swans. Dangerous situation for Barry Hall's knee there, but the vision of Michael O'Loughlin to assess the situation and see two spare Sydney Swans players, not at the top of the goal square, but about 30 metres out, was a bit of class.
Daniel Merritt's up. Been one of the games of the season so far. Barry Hall, who's got 3. They were all in the first term, though, so it's been a good quarter for Daniel Merritt. At the other end, Jonathan Brown with 3 as well. Jolly. Nice palm down. Gets it back again, does Jolly, towards Barry Hall. Good fist, Merritt. Schneider the crumb. Tackled. Good tackle, Adcock. Power caught by Matthews, the goal kicker. Handball comes out from Schmidt. Straight to Moody. Kennelly. Front spot against Patfield. He's away. Schneider dives. Is it a mark? Yep.
Nice grab. There's the pace of Kennelly making a difference.
To O'Keefe. And he's maybe just within his range. He'll kick from outside 50. But this kick give the Swans back the lead in the shadows of half-time. I mentioned how underrated he is. Represented Australia last year against Ireland and won the Jim Steins medal, did Ryan O'Keefe. And he brings that back perfectly. Sydney Swans back in front.
Cracking game and a cracking goal. Ryan O'Keefe and Dwayne, understand what you mean. Probably underrated in the general football public, but at player level, and certainly match committees right around the competition, they know how dangerous this man can be. A noted goal kicker, but as David touched on, he covers an enormous amount of territory these days, and very good player.
Well, the good thing about him, it's the combination of what the game requires. Got a lot of great footballers who just can't run and compete. This bloke has both capacities. Great athlete, great footballer.
First goal of the afternoon for Ryan O'Keefe, and it's back to a 2-point lead for the Swans. But the Lions get the clearance, and McGrath takes the mark, and he has a chance to put the Lions back in front. Liam Pickering.
Ben Matthews has done a great job so far on Luke Power, who's one of the key playmakers for the Brisbane Lions. Just restricted him, I should say, to a half a dozen or so possessions, and then been able to get forward and kick a goal himself.
He's an accurate kick at goal. Ash McGrath has already got 2 this afternoon without a miss. He was second in the Lions goal kicking back in 2005 with 35 that year. And with just 3.5 minutes to half time from the paint of the 50, it was always going to miss with that build-up for behind.
He's just tried to overkick that one, which surprised me. I thought he would have had the journey. Just tried to overkick it and ended up leaning back and pulled it to the left. But it was fantastic, whether it was mark or free kick. Use of the body to protect the drop zone, and just drew the free kick in the end.
Kennelly found McVeigh. He doesn't find anybody. In fact, he finds Notting for the opposition. Chip kick back. Harding. So the Lions threatening to take back the lead with just 3 minutes left on the clock to half-time. Riscatelli. It's over his head, but he's quick to recover. Dempster's got him. Shrugged the tackle. Handball to Fixter. Head strapped after being off with the blood rule. Centering ball, McGrath. It's almost grabbed before he grabbed it. Crowbomp ball comes out to Kennelly, to Leo Barry. Vay kicks wide, and it's out of play. Adam Goods still being well held, but doing a little bit of ruck work at the moment. He was doing the ruck work that he injured his knee. He's been third man up in quite a few ball ins. Can't get to this one, so he's shepherded out of being third man up. Well played, Riscatelli. Bouncing ball, almost a havoc ball inside 50. McGrath stole it, kicked around the body, 1-on-1. Craig Bolton, Jonathan Brown. Craig Bolton may have given away a free. In fact, Jonathan Brown's given one away to Craig Bolton.
I think it was hand in the face. Jonathan Brown just went to push Craig Bolton off, got him to ground, so it was fortunate for Craig that it was a free kick. Just see here, just in a good position, but yeah, the right hand in the face, so fair enough.
Long kick. Schmidt flies. Stiller and Mills were down there. Jonathan Brown with 3 goals, all in the opening term, so Craig Bolton can say that he's won this second quarter. Wood in the ruck, straight down to Harding. Caught, dumped. Fixed her. High kick, tough one. Jonathan Brown, Craig Bolton wins the fist. Wasn't in the back. Malcheski, Jude Bolton, Buchanan, Goods. Leo Barry into Adcock, dumped. Did he dispose of it correctly? Goods gets it back again. Craig Bolton and now Fosdyke, former national 400-metre runner, goes for a little bit of a gallop. Now to Jude Bolton. Richards back to Fosdyke, who ran on, and now Barry Hall.
He should have turned around a bit quicker then, I think, Hall. He had Jude Bolton running through clean on the inside and a lot closer. I mean, he did recognise it and apologise to him afterwards, but I think his intent was to have a shot from the word go.
Already has 3 from the paint. Does he bring it back? Not enough. Michael O'Loughlin flies, and it's only a behind. Liam Pickering.
It's interesting to watch Barry Hall's leading, that he lit up, then he pushed back, and then when he didn't get used back, he went again. And the players just know to hold the ball, and it was a good kick in the end, but very good leading as well by Barry Hall.
Riscatelli gets it from Brennan.
And that is something worth noting for both of the big forwards. Both will lead very hard, turn around, go back halfway, push off their opponent and go again.
Wood up against Jolly on the wing. Jolly one out, dumped it down. Fosdyke, Barry, Matthews, Leo Barry again. 30 seconds left. Buchanan inboard to Grundy. Can have a shot. We thought about O'Loughlin. Gives it to O'Loughlin. Not 15. O'Loughlin spins around. It's a shocker. Merritt marks on the line.
Had plenty of time there. Didn't need to snap on the left. Had time to straighten up on his preferred foot.
So it'll be half time, provided it's not turned over by the Brisbane Lions here.
Once again, probably through the intensity of the game, the perceived pressure was there.
But he's so good at reading it, Alistair. He knows and senses better than any other player I've ever seen, yet he failed in that one.
It's been a seesawing contest. Michael O'Loughlin in game 250 kicked the opening goal of the afternoon. Barry Hall has 3. At the other end, Jonathan Brown has 3. And both teams have 7. It's a tight contest. Sydney led by 6 points at quarter time. Van Out led by 2. 7-6-48 to 7-4-46.